All right, welcome back to another episode of the Strongman Winner Circle podcast. I'm your host, Nicholas Camby. This is episode 41, and I'm welcoming back a former guest this evening in Tyler Davis. And then Tyler Davis, since he was last on the show, he was on episode 30, I Love the 90s. Since then, he's won the Ultimate Strongman World Championship at 90 kilos that was hosted in Paris, France. And then this past weekend he won the World's Strongest Man 90 kilo title at the official Strongman Games in Daytona Beach. Welcome back to the show, Tyler.
Man, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure, and it's a real honor that you invite me back.
Oh, absolutely. And you were probably one of the more requested individuals to come back on. So I was happy to have you back on. But how's the body feeling?
Really good. Actually, surprisingly, I think I was less sore this year after OSG than last year.
So why do you think that? You think I was almost my only guess because some guys felt a little more. You're not the only person that said that. I was thinking maybe because of the deadlift. The deadlift was pretty tough last year doing the ladder, right?
I think it's whenever you have more events packed into one day. Maybe your body doesn't have time to cool off as much before the next event. Like the closer you bring all your events together, the more warm your body is, and it seems like the less sore you are. Versus last OSG, it was over 3 separate days, and it was a little bit each day. So you just kind of build up that lactic acid, I guess, more so when you have that type of format. That'd be my guess. I think my conditioning may have been a little bit better this year too. That's something we've kind of focused on. So.
Did you have more abs coming into this OSG than last year?
I think they're bigger, but you still can't see them very well. Like we did a lot of core work, and I think my midsection is actually bigger, but I still have fat covered.
It's quite maybe next year. I'll say maybe next year they'll fully be out.
This year I did kind of this year leading up. I was going to say leading up, kind of on that same line of thinking. My diet this year, I was a little bit more lenient, and I tried to just focus kind of on intuitive eating, and I really just focused on what does it feel like I need to eat today. If I felt like I needed to eat some junk food because to pick me up, I did it. So I was a little less strict this year actually on my diet than last year. So yeah, hence no abs against that.
Well, you need those complex carbs, especially running through all those events. So sometimes you have to go with the gummy worms, potato chips, muffins, cinnamon buns.
Salt and vinegar chips.
So are you done for the year?
Yeah, I'm done for the year. So we typically this time of year we'll move into kind of like a hypertrophy, kind of like safe, kind of gym lifts again, just to build some, baseline strength back in a safe way. I'll probably compete again locally in March. I'm looking at a competition that a brand's putting on. And then I plan on having a real big, for me, all the big competitions are kind of in the second half of the year. So it seems like in the fall you got, they might be bringing Strongman Champions League back. I'm qualified for that. I'd like to do Ultimate again. And then November, of course, you got OSG. So all the big things are just within a few months of each other in the fall.
All right. Now of course, let's talk about the actual year. So, of course, you're done for the year, but your year has been pretty exquisite. You had your USS National 90 kilo championship. You took third at the Clash 90 kilo. Of course, gold at the Ultimate Strongman and gold in OSG. So 3 gold, 1 podium. That's 4 significant podiums in 1 year. That's not a bad year.
Yeah, I mean, it's been I guess a dream year for me. And I'm not a very emotional guy. Like it's been years since I cried. But actually, after OSG, it was like Tuesday morning. I was on my way to work, and I just started crying out of nowhere. I don't know. It was just, I guess, I've been worked really hard for this, and everybody's been so nice. Reached out and congratulatory of me. All my gym friends, people in the Strong Crew group, strangers, my family, and they all been so proud. And just like sharing in the excitement with me. Like when I won, Nick O'Hare, me and him go back and forth. He's another top 90. and he didn't get to make it to finals. I think just some of the events didn't line up good for him this year. So he kind of became my coach for the finals day. And when he saw that I won, like the big smile on his face, and how excited he was. And then I had a couple friends from the gym, Josh Fox and Sky, and they were just so happy for me. So I don't know, it just all kind of came at me at once on Tuesday. I'm sitting in the parking lot at work, I'm just crying.
Wow.
So it's been a big year, and I hope I can do it again next year. We'll see.
Well, I'm knocking on wood, and of course, I'm rooting for you. But let's catch up. So last time you were on the show was mid August. So fill us in a little bit in terms of that was probably a week. That was like a week to 10 days after that Clash contest. So yeah, tell us what you've been doing leading up to that para show.
So I think one of the things I've been fortunate about this year is it was really popular in 2022 for high level competitions to do heavyweight to shoulder. And so at nationals, I won or tied for first on like the stone to shoulder. And then I had ultimate. It was a stone to shoulder. And then at OSG, it was sandbag to shoulder. And I won all those events. So that was kind of like one that was in the bag. And I've always wondered, like, what is my best event? You know, I'm close to world record and everything, but I'm not a world record on anything. So I finally found kind of my best event. So after in August, leading up to Worlds, we went back to stone to shoulder, which luckily that's something that I'd already trained for leading up to nationals. So all I had to do was, instead of doing the 285-pound stone that I was using in the gym, we switched up, went up to the 310 because it's a little heavier at ultimate. So then I started training with the 310 stone. I was like, man, this feels easier than the 285, you know? So just, it felt really good. Then we had to switch to using deadlift suit again. Ultimate had a deadlift suit. I had some real good tips from a friend, Damian Norris, who's a real good masters athlete in my gym. He gave me some really good deadlift cues that I think I just missed out on. And I think I added probably 50 pounds to my deadlift in just a couple of days, just by fixing my technique a little bit, believe it or not. So I think I had the strength, I just wasn't maximizing the technique. So that was a big boost. And then we went back to doing lots of, farmer carries. I have pretty good foot speed, so I knew that was going to be a good event for me. And I've just naturally have pretty good grip. Log press, the only thing I was really disappointed at Ultimate, it seems like it's hard to get good at, improving my deadlift, but like my log is not improved.
Was the same log that they used in the 105 kilo class too? Because I've had some other people were telling me that it was a strange log, maybe like open handles.
Yeah. So I was expecting to get 5 reps. I'd done 5 reps in training at that weight, and which would have put me second or tied for first, maybe second. I think maybe one guy got 6. So I was expecting that to be a top event for me. And they have 2 different options. So it really wasn't too bad as far as the weight. It was like 286, and it was for reps. It's a clean and press each rep. And I went to clean it, and I didn't get a whole lot of warm-ups on it. And I think the warm-ups were at lighter weight, and I thought it was okay. But once it got a little heavier, when I went to clean it and went to press it, the log was a little bit thicker. It's probably closer to like a 13.5 inch, maybe 14 inch even.
Oh, interesting.
And it just wanted to bring me kind of forward. And so I cleaned it, and I tried a couple of times, and like I'd go to press it and it would come forward. And so I set it down, and I took my break, waited the time, get down to I think about 15 seconds. And then what I did was I did a step back. And when I stepped back, it made the log lock into position. It forced it to kind of walk backwards into the lockout. So kind of like not really a jerk, wasn't quite a split jerk, but it was a little step back. And I kind of pulled that out of my pocket, keep those different techniques in my back pocket just in case I got to do something just to get a rep in. And luckily I didn't zero on that. And 1 rep at the heavier log was pretty good points, actually. Some people failed it, and a lot of people went for the lighter log option.
So I ended up didn't see it for that contest. I saw the farmers handles. They were of course a little shorter. Now of course I know you have a pretty good grip. Did that bother you at all?
Honestly, it didn't bother me too bad. You just had to. I was a little conservative with it because if you set it down too hard, some of the weights were popping off. So you had to go down and just kind of set it down a little more gently, just so you don't mess yourself up on that part and have to put the weights back on before you can head back down. The pick was harder, but it still wasn't like a max pick. It didn't bother me too much. They weren't my favorite handles. The ones at OSG were awesome. Much better farmers handles. They also had the little rubber mats, so they don't slide when you set them down.
Those were like a Bartos, correct? Like
I believe so. There's lots of Bartos equipment, so I think that don't quote me on that 100%. I think it was. I know that like the dumbbells were, and there was lots of Bartos stuff. But yeah, those are really nice. I thought the bar size and everything, the way those are built at OSG were real fair. Like it was a good grip test, and it was comfortable to carry.
Now, so yeah, let's back up a little bit. So of course the World Ultimate was in Paris, France. So you probably had to travel 6-7 hour flight to get over there. So how was cutting weight while traveling overseas?
It was a little different. Yeah, it's always a little tougher when you're traveling. Instead of doing like a 5-day water cut or 6-day water cut like I typically do, I turn it into more like a 3-day. So kind of the week leading up, I just cut out carbs and salt. And then I don't really do the water load where you drink a whole bunch of water to create that hormone that makes you flush out water and then stop, so because I don't want to be peeing the whole time on the airplane, honestly. So it does make it a little bit different. I did use the sweat sticks this time. That was the first time I've ever used it. I did test it out to make sure I wouldn't have I'd have a comfortable reaction. But I used that in Paris, and that really helped a lot. Especially, I think it's something good to have on hand in case you don't have, a bathtub or a sauna at your hotel if you're traveling internationally or somewhere different. But those are a good option to kind of have in your back pocket in case you need it. They helped me lose like 6 pounds basically off of just that. Water cut, I usually lose about, just from lower carbs and everything, about 7, sometimes 8 pounds. And then I did do hot bath a little bit, lost a few pounds in the hot bath, which is always miserable. It's the hardest thing I do in the sport, really, is losing weight, because I did 4 water cuts in 5 months. Each water cut, I lost 17 to 19 pounds.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so I'm happy my body is like healthy and still alive. I've been pretty fortunate to be, feel so good for each competition. So I think we've got it down to a science there.
But it sounds like you of course had your facilities. You had plenty of things to help you kind of cut weight. You can thank Johnny Wasisco for the sweat sticks. That was originally his idea.
Really?
We used them.
He was in Paris, so yeah.
Sure was. So that was rich. So I used them back we used them back at when we went to Russia last year, and then I brought them to Waco, and I gave them to like Bob and the other competitors, and then it kind of started spreading from there. That everybody was using the spread sticks. I can't say I made them popular, but I would say Johnny is the father.
And Johnny helped me out. I didn't know we could use grip shirts on the log, so Johnny let me use his sweaty grip shirt. That was nice of him. He gave me some tacky. He was like, no, my tacky is better. He had like the Spider, like a competition grade tacky, and he had some coconut oil to remove the tacky. He was like really helpful, and we had dinner after the competition in Paris with his fiance, and it was a great time. And he knows tons of Johnny jokes, little Johnny jokes. He got like one right after the other.
He's amazing. So yeah, and then of course his significant other, his fiance Margaret, she's great. So it looked like of course you had a pretty good show, but compared to we'll get into the fine details of OSG in terms of how close it was. But was it as close for the running when you were fighting for that top spot in Paris?
Yeah, it was. There were 2 extremely good athletes there. One came in 3rd at OSG. He came in 3rd in Paris with me in Ultimate, and then he went to OSG and came in 3rd. And that's the Irishman Gavin McNamee.
Okay, all right. Yes, I did see his name. I wasn't.
Yeah, I saw him at Ultimate, and I was like, this guy's going to be a top guy when I see him at OSG too. He's an extremely good athlete. He had like a world record deadlift for our class. I think he did like 836, which is crazy to do it. 198 pounds. He's also best in the world in our class at farmer's carries and yoke carry. I thought, I was going to beat him. I thought I was going to be the best, one of the best of the farmers. I came in second. He beat me on farmers, and he dropped it once. So this is in Paris. So yeah, he's extremely fast mover with heavyweight. So he's got some top events. He's just trying to improve his press abilities and also weight to shoulder. So yeah, it was really close. I was right on his heels all day, and then I won. Now I do really good if it's like a sandbag or a H stone. You got to pick it up. You got to run with it. Now I did beat him on that event, which is a speed event. I'm good at picking up weight in the front and moving with it, or pick it up, put it on my shoulder. So I beat him on that one, but he came in second, so I didn't gain too many points on him. So he was actually ahead of me throughout the day, and then it came down to the stone to shoulder, and then I beat him on stone to shoulder, and won first place. And then there was Benjamin. His handle is Melon Power. He's from Slovakia. He came in second place because he did well on stone to shoulder too. And he's a very good athlete. I think he usually competes at 231 and it dropped down. Because I remember seeing him in Paris, and I was like, man, this guy's in my class. He's huge. He looked really big. So he was extremely nice, gracious guy. And so I look forward to maybe competing against him again next year too.
But it sounds like, of course, great talent. But yeah, that competition was of course fun. When I was kind of chewing on that, but of course around the same time as America's. But of course, just looking back at it, I'm glad you guys did as well as you did. But let's switch the gears over to OSG. Actually, before we get into so I took the pleasure, of course, cutting up some clips, and Tyler's gonna talk us through some of the clips and what he was thinking, what he was doing. But before we get into that, so you got back home from Paris. How long did you take to rest, and then what did you do from there in terms of starting training for OSG?
Yeah, so my coach and I, we kind of have a conservative philosophy with training. The number one priority is not get injured, stay healthy. So we know I just did a big competition and travel across in Paris. So even though I only had 5 weeks in between, we took a whole week off. I didn't do anything, just walking around my neighborhood, little light band stuff. I let my body rest and recover. And then as we prepared for OSG, we kind of picked and choose what things that wouldn't hurt my central nervous system. Let it completely recover. So yeah, I did some yoke training, but we never went over like 700 pounds. So we kept it pretty light, and I would only carry 700 pounds for 50 feet. So I wouldn't wear myself out. We did go comp weight on stones because that was something I was pretty comfortable with. We did some comp weight on stones, and I got the 375 in the gym several times. I wasn't quite able to get it at OSG. We'll go through that. Deadlift, I did competition weight on deadlift one training session, and I lifted it like one time. That was like 610 axle. I just picked it up, set it down. I left a lot in the tank, and we kind of moved on. So we did a good bit of farmers training. So yeah, we kind of we just had to trust that the strength was there. I just needed to do things to not get weaker, but I need to do things to stay healthy and keep my nervous system primed just enough, but not depleted. So it was. I feel like we just executed it well because I really peaked at OSG time. So
I was gonna say that usually the training block between competitions is probably the hardest one to program because you're accommodating your fatigue from the previous competitions, but you also want to peak. So how do you do that? But it sounds like you and your coach put a great plan together. So I'm going to split my screen. We're going to talk a little bit of OSG. We're going to go through all the events, and then you can kind of tell us what's going on. But first, I'm going to take a quick pause for a short commercial break. And we're back. So we're starting with or OSG. So this is going to be on the Viking press. So the first event out. So how were you feeling? Any nerves in the first event?
Honestly, I thought this would be one of my best events. Usually, historically, I've been a pretty good presser compared to my peers. And we have a really good Viking presser at our gym. He gave me some really good tips.
So what are the tips?
So I set my Viking press. See where the pivot point is in the back. Nagari Muth, who also, who I think won this Viking press, if I'm not mistaken, he had like 9 reps for our class. He did the same thing I did. I didn't know it until he went. He went right before me, I believe, in the same lane, but or a couple before me in the same lane. But he set his like at a 1. So before you go in, you can set the front and the back, and you can set like up to like a 6 or 7, and a 1's almost all the way at the bottom. And they raise the front and the back down. So I wanted it low, and it would be a little bit more work on the stand up. But when I go to press it, the back part of the implement, I'm trying to put as much weight kind of on that back beam, you know.
Interesting.
So it's kind of like it's a physics, it's basically physics. So yeah, if the more weight you could put on that pivot, the more weight you should be able to do. But it was a really long implement, and I wasn't quite expecting it to be, I guess, as long as it was. So it made it a little different.
So technically you wanted the back to be taller than the front.
No, I want the back to be as low as possible, so that when I stand up with it, all the weight's laying down on that back.
Interesting. All right. So I'm surprised that they let you guys kind of adjust that in that point, but I guess it does kind of make sense. I never had.
A lot of guys were not setting it low, believe it or not, because they were worried about standing up with a ton of weight. You can see in the video, I look like I'm work. It's a little bit more work to stand up with, but
so
I do have, yeah.
Sorry, as you guys are getting excited. Oh, sorry, I pressed. Sometimes it skips over a little bit.
Yeah, so I was caught a little bit off guard when I go to stand up here. I'm like, that was a little bit more work than I wanted it to be. First one went up.
No wrist straps, huh?
No, I don't like wrist wraps when it doesn't bother my wrists. If I can press it doesn't really add any pain or impingement around my wrists. So I usually don't wear them.
So it took a little break. Now the question: now, why did the sleeve monster attack you and not these other guys?
What's the sleeve monster?
The sleeve monster. He goes around eating sleeves. like how you cut off your sleeves.
Oh, I got you. I'm wearing the shirt right now, actually. I got you. I never heard that. I left it on the one where I had to do sandbag to shoulder. But you know what's funny? When I did Strongman Champions League, they kind of ingrain in you. You know, like this is supposed to be entertainment for the fans, supposed to be putting on a show, and you know people want to see muscles, and you know I'm just trying to, I guess, show we're athletes, we got some muscles. That's it.
All right, I like kind of like the promoting of promoting of flesh.
I mean, I don't have abs, but you know, I got like decent arms.
So how did you feel after the Viking press? So of course you had 3. It looks like some of the other guys were getting up to like 7, 8, 9, 10. Were you concerned, or were you more just still in the running?
Concerned. I was a little concerned, honestly. I thought, you know, I'm not out of it yet, but I didn't put myself in the position that I wanted to be. I'm usually really good at, I guess, estimating and being honest with myself of where I'm going to finish on everything. And that was lower than my expectations. I think I was in like a 4-way tie for 12. But, you know, there's a lot of guys. Anyway, like over 40 guys from 18 different countries. I mean, it was a huge field. So I knew that don't give up, and I just gotta, you know, put my head down and keep working.
going into one of your favorite events. So
yeah,
right out of gate, you're speeding away.
Yeah, I was really comfortable with this. There's nothing to it. It felt like, and then you know, Gavin McNamee, who I told you is like world class at this. I saw him fly with it. So on the way back, I thought I would just try to sprint, and my quads. I think my quads like started feeling a little bit like Jello. And when I was going that fast, it made me trip.
So what did you end up finishing on the farmers? Were you like in the top 5?
Yeah, I still did really good on that. I think I was 5th. It might be 5th or 6th. That was good points for me. And see, a lot of guys who did good on the Viking press didn't do good on the farmers. So
That's why you just got to be consistent. You just got to be in the game there. And
Yeah.
let's see. So getting onto the deadlift. So you were mentioning just only touching this weight for 1 rep in training, and of course
Yeah,
that was your top set, correct?
that was right.
All right.
And this, I exceeded my expectations.
Yeah, you rep this out.
So if you look, there's Joey Stampke next to me. I think he's no, he's in 1. I mean, he's a world class deadlifter. You had so I think I tied him,
You
which
got
I never would have
you guys
expected.
got 9 reps, right?
I think Joey got 8 and I got 8.
Oh, 8. All right.
And then Gavin, who has the world record, he got 9. So I was only one rep off of a guy who can deadlift 836. So I mean, I was right there. Like I said, I might not have the world record, but I'm right there with the world record holders. So yeah, I think I just just peeking at the show right, and I've made a lot of improvements on my deadlift. Like I said, the technique updates. Okay, here we go.
But before we go on the shoulder, so for instance, I know you only worked up to like 610 for 1 rep, but were you doing a lot of like rep work with lighter weights prior?
No, I would leave a lot of reps in the tank. Yeah, we were real careful because I wanted to do heavy stones. I decided, and I worked with my coach on this, and so if we're going to do heavy stones and we only have a few weeks to get ready, you can't do heavy deadlifts and wear yourself out on deadlifts and then do heavy stones. You have to kind of pick and choose what comp weight you're going to do. We just didn't have enough time.
Interesting. But yeah, the tactic works. So of course that's why I asked. But just going from 1 rep to 8 is extraordinary. So of course watching Tyler on lane 4. Oh, right there, you're highlighting.
Yeah.
Nice headband.
Yeah, I knocked my headband off right here. So I was so serious I didn't even adjust my headband. Just kept going, let it fall off. And man, when I got this last bag, 325, it's never felt that light before. So I was just really happy.
It looks like, and you switched shoulders. You normally were loading onto the right shoulder, and then you went to the left. You do that?
I decided to do that right before I got to my shoulder because my plan was to, and that's why I said like you got to have different techniques kind of in your back pocket just in case you got to adjust a little bit. And here they are, other guys kind of dancing around. That last bag was heavy, I guess. So yeah, I usually kind of put it up on my chest and then spin it and come right in front of my face and then put it on the shoulder. So I got up there and I was like, you know what? I was like, this is the way I have it on my chest. My face is in the way, and I already have it on this shoulder, so I'm just going to go with this shoulder. So, and I've done it that way in training before, not with that heavy of a bag, but it was another technique that I know how to do, and I just kind of called an audible and went with it.
Wow. So more of the story, have a few techniques and of course work on the fly. So how do you feel? So you're going, of course, against one of the former champions right here. He's very athletic. So what were your thoughts kind of going head to head with him?
Yeah, I want to say also both Narimu and Myers were extremely gracious and congratulatory of me, and they told me welcome to the table. So I only have really, really good things to say about those guys. They were awesome, fun competitors. With the car yoke, and I'm one of those guys. People have different ways of the way they approach competitions too. Like sometimes, some guys want to go sit in a corner, listen to music, kind of be by themselves. Some guys, I just kind of like sitting down at my table, kind of taking it easy. But I like to talk and I like to learn as much as I can from all the other experienced athletes. And like I said, this was down in finals, and so Nick O'Hare, who didn't make finals, I asked him if he would help me. And he gave me some really good tips. I put my hands a little bit lower on the yoke bars here. He taught me let's not take off too fast. Stand up with it first, and don't let it rock back and forth. Don't panic. Just march forward.
Let's show the listeners how you did.
Yeah. So, it just felt really good.
That was a fast start.
And honestly, I was a little disappointed I didn't go faster. Like I think I may have been too conservative. I mean, you can see how comfortable it looked.
That was very close.
So Narimu and Myers actually they actually tied on this.
Oh wow.
On a timed event, they had a tie.
So they probably were that's and then of course on those events you go by like the so 0.01.
Yeah,
So
and they gave Norimu. They said Norimu beat me on this by 0.2 of a second. You watch the video. I mean, it's pretty close. I'm not gonna. I mean, it doesn't matter.
So what do you end up? So you took fourth on that event.
I think I was fifth. Yeah, I can't remember. I think it was about fifth or sixth even.
Oh wow! And you're of course you're.
But if I had been less than half a second faster, it would have been worth 3 more points.
Ooh, wow!
Less than half a second faster was worth 3 more points because Norimu and Myers beat me by 0.2, and then there was one other guy who beat me by like 0.4. That's how close this was.
Yeah, very stacked. So now same thing again. Now you're going against the defending champion, going against in his own event where he has a world record. How did that feel heading into this?
Well, also we saw Leroy Smith go before this, and that was one of the craziest things I've ever seen in strongman. The first 2 dumbbells, he just cleaned up straight into lockout.
Yeah, he kind of does like a weird viper with the circus dumbbell.
And I was like, you know what? I never tried that. so maybe next year, if we have to bring this back, I'll have to try that and be ready for it. The Myers, I knew Myers was going to do excellent at this. My thing was get through 3 fast. I know I'm capable of doing the 180. I've never done a 200-pound dumbbell actually. And leading up to this, I'll be honest, I tried for some reason, I tried a 160-pound dumbbell in training, and I missed it like a week leading up to this, and I just felt like crap. And so, at the gym, I just set it down. And I said, I'm just having a bad day, and I'm not going to worry about this. And when it comes to the competition, I'll do it.
Wow.
And so I just try to. Again, Nick O'Hare gave me some really good tips, and I think it worked out well for me. I did the 3 really fast. I got close to doing the 200.
He stayed very well composed. Yeah, Nikolai. So it was interesting because they made Nikolai come back and fix his dumbbell, but both you guys didn't have it on the first pad either. So I don't really understand that rule that you have to have the dumbbell onto the
you just have to have it on that rubber mat.
Oh, on the rubber mat. Oh, gotcha.
You can have it on the rubber mat, or you can have it on the crash pad, but you can't have it off. So I watched. I spent a long time watching people before I went, and I noticed that no one, whenever they dropped it on the big rubber mat, it never came off. But if you drop it on that crash pad, half the time it bounces off. So
you bounce it out, but. So going into this, it's nuts. Top 7. Let's see. So this is of course the split times, and then they show the overall points. But the top 7 have a chance to potentially win the contest. Everybody will show in a second, but it was 2 or 3. Even the 7th was 2 or 3 points away from the 4 points. So Nikolai was 4 points away. You were 1 point away, but. What were you guys all thinking? Were you guys just all amazed that you guys were that close together?
Yeah, we were all standing around the computer screen, or the monitors there, and we're all like, man, this is awesome. This is close, I was extremely excited because this is the one event that I've actually been training at comp weight, and it's been feeling amazing. And I was thinking this is kind of a dream come true in strongman to be going for a world championship at the highest level. And it comes down to stones. Like nobody can stop me from winning if I win stones, because stones and OSG is the tiebreaker, and I'm 1 point away from first place. So if I win stones, I win the competition. Nobody can stop me. So I was thrilled. I was like, I wouldn't want it any other way. I want to show everybody that I can beat them on stones.
So let's watch the stone run. Let's see. So getting ready. So everybody got a chance to line up the stones. It looks like look at the height, look at the stone. You did a little moving around.
Yeah.
The sniff check. So everything smells right.
Yeah, looking at all the hair that's stuck to the stones from Nikolai Myers and other hairy guys. I was making sure that that the stone was lined up with the hole was the main thing. Because I didn't want to have, when I loaded up on the platform, I just want to be able to put it right in the hole. I don't want to have to shift it to the side or whatever. So when they had it lined up, they had a lot of these not lined up with the hole. So they were really nice and patient though. Like Colin Bryce walks over. See Colin right there? and he didn't rush me at all. You know, he came over.
Tyler.
Yeah, see him right there. Now he was like, "How's it look? Is it looking good? Is that how you want it? Is that how you want it?" He goes, "Are you good?" And so he didn't rush me. He knew that this was really important. So
There's Leroy. No chain for Leroy on the stones.
yeah, he took his chain off, didn't he? I don't know. He took his power chain off. So this one, you had to go back and had to correct me where I was standing. I was trying to stand on the mat like a cheater. There we go. So then they moved me off into the concrete. There we go. I'm good to go. And my plan was to one motion the first two felt amazingly light, and I got them really
Yeah,
quick.
the second one I think was a better one motion.
Yeah, the third I go to one motion. Oh, little slip. I got shot by a sniper or something, but I got it up pretty quick. These two felt light. They felt good. You know, of course, I wasn't planning on one motion on those. I'm trying to save up my energy for the last one, and plus those really heavy.
So you beat Leroy by split, probably less than a second.
Split second, yeah. And then here I messed up. So that stone, I should have gotten a little bit closer to the platform, and I should have been more patient, and I should have rolled. I should have just kept coming up a little bit higher before I filled forward. I think in my mind, I saw Nikolai Myers get all 6, and he got it at a decent time, and I wanted to beat him to guarantee I'd win. And plus I had like 2 more heats after me. And I thought, if one of them get the 6 stones fast, I'll lose. You know, I have to get the 6 stones and I have to get it fast. So as I was rolling up, I just fell forward too early. I think this year I was capable of actually loading that stone. And if I had to do it again, I might have gotten it. So we'll get it next year though.
But when I was editing this last night, just like getting all the clips ready for today, I was just watching you. Like, you don't know what's going on. You don't know that you just won the contest. So you have to see everything going on. But this is like just the fact that you get to go there and wait and kind of see how your destiny, what destiny holds, is that it was pretty crazy. And you kind of just looks like you walked off. You don't look too excited. I know you wanted that last stone. But
I didn't know how fast I did the 5. I guess I don't know. My wife said that she was watching this. She wasn't in Daytona, but she was at home with my kids and my neighbors watching it. And she said she saw me hit that platform and saw the disappointment in my face and said she cried.
Oh,
she was upset for me. And I was like, yeah, you know, I thought, man, I lost it there.
Little did you guys know that you were gonna go off and win, but but how close that was. I don't have the final one up.
I ended up actually winning by 2 points.
2 points.
So yeah, I was ahead on. So after the first 4 events, so basically a day 1 and 2, even though it was day 1 and 2 was kind of one day, and part of day 2 was the sandbag shoulder was on the final day. But after the 4 events, I was in first place. So going into finals, I was in first place, and then coming out of finals, I was in first place. And that was the only 2 times I was in first place for the competition. So
when it matters.
Yeah, and then but after the stones, what I did was I didn't even take the tacky off or anything. I just stood over to the side, a little disappointed. I had my friend Josh Fox from the gym. Me and him were standing there together, and we watched the next heat. And we see, I think Gavin McNamee was in it, and another guy. I forgot who else was in that particular heat. But anyways, we watched them load it, and they got to 5, and they couldn't get 6. And I looked at Josh, and I was like, I think my 5 may have been faster than those. And then we see the last one. I thought Nerimu, you know, he has like world record stone. And so I was like, oh man, he's gonna get all 6. And then he struggled, I think, with the 3rd one, just wasn't in him that day, I guess. And so me and Josh, we start holding each other. We're like, what? I think you just won. Tyler. And then Nick O'Hare saw it on the scoreboard. He was watching the monitor. And he come around the corner smiling real big. And he's like, you fucking won.
What did you do?
We hugged each other, and I got tacky all over his really nice SBD shirt. You know, that like khaki tank top, you know, and he's all jacked anyway. But yeah, I got some tacky on it. So the first thing he did was back away, and he's like, whoa, this is my nice shirt.
Well, at least you know, maybe at least we'll always remember that shirt, because that's the shirt that he told you the message.
He probably fixed it, but
yeah, probably move. But cool. Oh man, what a rush. I was in a similar situation. We even last year at OSG, I think I was in second, tied with Chad Curry, and then Justin Loy was ahead of me and Chad by half a point. So it was just us three, but it was just the top three that was pretty competitive. It wasn't the top seven that was
Yeah.
all right in there. So the fact that you could stay composed, hang in there, of course, my hat's off to you.
Thank you.
But of course, moving on, we got, of course, a little more to cover. We're not done yet, folks. So one thing that, of course, you were interested in kind of covering was a little bit about your kind of training philosophy. So not
Yeah.
only around these these two championships, but of course, we mentioned how great a year you had. Of course, 3 golds, 1 bronze, 4 great podiums. But like, what's the training philosophy that took you to have this great year?
Yeah. And I'm happy to share this. So I was working with a guy who told me a story about. He's like, "This is a great book," and I didn't even read the book, but he told me all about the book, and that's all I really needed. It was about aggregation of marginal gains.
What's the book called?
I don't even know the name. I don't remember the name of the book, and it's horrible that I'm not going to give whoever this guy is justice. But he was a coach for a cycling team in Great Britain. I'm just going to try to paraphrase the story here. And Great Britain was known to have a horrible cycling. They always lost the Tour de France. They sucked pretty bad. And so they bring in this guy who's like, well, I have the philosophy. It's basically aggregation of marginal gains. So that's every little tiny thing you can improve, even if it's so small, as long as there's hundreds of things you're improving, it's going to add up to something big. So that's kind of the way we live, with my coach and everything we can think of. So the cycling coach, and so for instance, he had doctors come in and teach them how to wash their hands. So avoid how many times you get sick throughout a year. He had them, well, you could get a little bit better sleep if your pillow were a little bit more comfortable. It's like little things, or like the seat on the bike. How can we fix that? Or what if we painted the trailers white and we can see dust better and keep the bikes clean? So they ended up winning lots of championships after they made all these tiny improvements. And so we have that same sort of approach with Strongman. So with me, avoiding injury and just getting a little bit better every week. One injury can set you back an entire year or even more. So that's the big one. And so, another one is like getting better sleep. So, yeah, I'm not a big heavyweight guy, but, my neck did grow a couple inches since doing Strongman, and I do snore now. So I'm getting a sleep apnea machine or a CPAP machine.
Did you do a sleep test?
Yeah. They told me I get excellent sleep, actually, but they'll still give me a machine, and I got a machine. But for some reason, I do wake up snoring. So I don't know how they tell me I had excellent sleep, because I do wake up snoring. And and so anyway, so I use the machine. I feel like I get better sleep. We just, every little possible thing, using good equipment.
Did you travel with the machine too? Where we're at?
Yeah. I didn't for Daytona this time, but usually I do. But yeah, just tons of little stuff. Networking is part of it too. Like I have the Strong Crew group that I made. I've learned so much from guys that I coach. So, learning things from other athletes, and yeah, you're good at having good equipment or visualizing before you go. You can make a lot of improvement just visualizing doing the movements and before you actually compete. So, yeah, just so if you think of something that could possibly help you, write it down and make sure you actually get it done, execute it. And no matter what it costs, no matter what, if you want to win, that's what it takes, because all these guys at this level they're basically doing that, whether they know it or not. But now you have a name for it. It's aggregation of marginal gains, and that's doing all the little things that add up to one huge improvement. Have become the best.
So when the name of the book comes back to you, make sure you let me know so I can also read it. So going into my questions and fan questions. Of course, this is one of my questions. So how did the ultimate top 5 competitors compare to the OSG top 5 competitors? And it sounds like there was 2 of you guys that were the same, you and Gavin. But overall, what do you think in terms of the competition? Of course, American heavy with OSG and then European heavy with Ultimate.
Yeah, Ultimate is an amazing competition, but it is OSG is the Super Bowl. It's nothing is close to OSG. We did have Gavin McNamee in my class. We had the Benjamin. He's Melon Power. You should follow him. He's probably up and coming for our class. He's really good. There's Volker, who's from Germany. I think he won Germany's 231-pound class, and he dropped weight. So there were about 4 of us there at Ultimate who were pretty good. But I think we had 13 total athletes from like 8 different countries at Ultimate, compared to at OSG, where you got OSG, where you got, I think we had like 45 guys from 18 different countries. And you had all the previous world champions there. I mean, this year was just a freak year. They do the best job of getting all the best people at one competition, which is almost impossible to do.
I think the only person that you were missing
was it might be Stuart Allen, the aggregation of marginal gains, optimizing your performance.
Stuart Allen.
So,
right.
I think that's it.
You might have to.
Yeah. So go ahead. Who were missing? CJ Pierce.
Oh yeah, CJ Pierce. But there was one guy that was supposed to do it, and I'm blanking because he's a pretty good. He won back in 2018, and I've said his name before on here. He was supposed to compete, but he had to pull. He had to pull out for life reasons.
Yeah.
Who was the champion before our Australian friend? Narmu.
I wouldn't be able to tell you. I know Narmu was, and then it was like Myers, and then me. I don't know. We had Myers and Narmu, and we had a bunch of top UK guys.
I follow. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if he ends up listening to this. I should know his name, but he was also I think he's the only one. But I think again, if you can't make it to the show, you can't really.
So he wasn't there. And CJ Pierce should have been there.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've done Strongman Champions League. I've done Ultimate. I've done the different national Strongman Corps, USS Nationals. I've done Clash, and I've done OSG twice. Nothing is even close to OSG. So after I won Ultimate this year, I was like, I won a world championship. The local paper did an article on me. It was really nice. That was in the news for a little bit, local news. And but I didn't post and I didn't brag that I was the best 90-kilogram strongman in the world. I wasn't the greatest until I said I have to win OSG. And because I posted, I said, OSG, this is my Super Bowl. This is our World Series. This is basically like, to me, I would rather win OSG than win a gold medal in the Olympics. Like this is that's how big of a deal it is for me. So this is as high as I can go.
You heard it here. There was one fan question asking, who is your favorite person in the gym?
Could you tell me who messaged that?
His name ends in his name starts with C and ends in Chris. His name is Chris.
Chris Stewart, maybe. Yeah, Chris Stewart must be my favorite. I don't know. I love everybody at my gym. I got tons of cool dudes. And we all build off each other's excitement. I'm as excited when they compete at local shows, and it's a big deal for me when they win a local show. So, I love everybody at the gym. But a lot of Chris Stewart, he's a Masters heavyweight. He's competed at OSG. He's at my gym. You got Damian Norris. He's the one with the big old black beard. He competed at OSG a couple times. He's won Static Monsters. He actually won that competition worldwide for the Masters class. Wow. So I'm really fortunate to have guys have that experience at my gym. Then also we got up and comer people. So I'm coaching a girl named Livy Cornelius. She's a lightweight woman strongman. I want to see her at OSG maybe within the next 2 years. And that builds a lot of excitement for me. Like I build off of their excitement. I see in their eyes how like the desire they have to win, and so that makes me excited and happy too. So I like the guys at different levels. But.
So you have a lot of favorites in that gym. So it's to answer that question.
And that's not just being politically correct. That's the truth. So.
That's the truth. One guy asked, "What's the strongest animal you think you could beat in a fight?"
Oh man. So my kids asked me this question the other night, and And I said a female gorilla, and my wife thought I was crazy. She was like, a female gorilla would whoop your ass, Tyler. And so I don't know. Maybe I need to size that down to maybe a spider monkey. I think I could. I mean, it would be a rough fight. Like I'd be bloody and maybe missing a finger or two, but I think in the end I could take them. You know, I'm not.
All the spider
I'm
monkeys
not your average
listening right
I'm pretty
now.
strong. So.
All the spider monkeys are listening right now, getting ready. You're like, who is this?
Hey, another funny thing before I forget, one thing about my kids, I was at the dinner table and I asked my daughter, you know, just after I won OSG, I said, you want to be a strongman like me one day? And she's like, no, Dad, I want to be an athlete. I was like, oh man,
that's a good bird.
That's because we don't have like a ball. I was like, we got big stones. It's kind of like a ball. So, yeah.
Oh, that's funny. You just got to educate. It's strength athletics is what strongman is.
Yeah, we're strength athlete, right?
So another question: if you had to take a strongman on a date, who would it be and why?
Strongman on a date. I've got. I don't know, Rihanna Lovelace. She's the most impressive strong man or strong woman on the planet right now. So, yeah, I'd see what I could learn from her. Luke Davis would be upset with me if I took her out, but he'd understand. I'd treat her right and open the door for us.
How about on the strongman side?
On the strongman side,
it could be a bro date.
A bro date. We got Big Z would be hard, but he may not be much of a talker. He's kind of quiet. I think Dimitar is pretty funny.
Ooh.
I like I gotta send you the meme that somebody made of me. The Dimitar memes.
Yeah, I've seen a few.
Yeah, somebody made one of me holding. Good thing I'm strong enough to pick up all these medals, and it says Dimitar's head is my head. I don't know. There's a good many. I just had to throw one out. Brian Shaw would be a really good one.
Absolutely. He might be kind of expensive because he's very expensive date because he eats a lot.
But he's a businessman. He should pay for my meal. You know, I think he's got.
But you're taking him out though. So if you're asking him out on a date, you have to pay for it. And then someone was asking, when did you first get involved in strongman?
2019. So I've been at it just under 4 years.
4 years.
Actually, I'll be 4 years. 4 years, like January.
So 4 years later, a couple world championships under your belt.
Yeah, and no injuries either. That's what we're probably most proud of. Is doing it smart, safe, slowly getting stronger, a little bit better every week.
Now, in your opinion, how does the sport of strongman after this weekend evolve from here? Like specifically the 90 kilos, like what do you envision the future of strongman is for, especially the weight class athletes, and then more importantly, the 90 kilos?
Well, I'd like for it to continue to grow, like grassroots, like in all the gyms, just kind of like CrossFit. You know, you got all the CrossFit boxes, maybe strongman athletes growing across. We got more gyms with more of the strongman equipment. More local which I'm already seeing that there's so many more options for regional and local competitions, strongman competitions. So once that grows, and then also, to me, it's like people are so interested in what I do. And I remember as a kid loving watching it on TV. People love watching strength sports. Like some of the events are really fun and really exciting to watch. So I think there should be a market for increased fans and viewers. I would like to see something like OSG. It's perfect for the athletes, and I think it could also be adjusted a little bit to where it's fun to watch for fans, and maybe they could turn each weight class that competes at OSG, because he's the best in the world for each weight class. Maybe separate each weight class out and edit it into different shows, and kind of put those out throughout the year, and maybe it can get picked up on like ESPN or one of the big networks. I think there's potential there, and also building up the characters of each sport. Yeah.
I like it, but yeah, there's
some ideas there.
A lot of work. It would be interesting, especially the OSG. So many weight classes. If they start separating some, maybe have an all male OSG day, maybe all female, and then maybe eventually having the singles. Originally, the 105 kilo class was its own show, and the year after we got grouped in with all the rest. So
Yeah.
at one point we did have our own show, which was neat. I'm not saying I don't enjoy doing or even in back then competing all day for a couple events, but the own show sometimes is pretty cool in terms of the highlights. What was so you touched about it a little bit, but what does the future hold for Mr. Tyler?
So next year we'll do some local stuff, So like some, I have a friend that's putting on a great competition in Alabama that he has some really cool. It's Todd Williams. He's the state rep for United States Strongman, and he has like an event that has like a Hercules hold, a car walk, a car press, fingers. So it just looks like some really fun events, and I'll probably do the heavyweight class. Actually, it's just going to be one open class, and he offers prize money. So I'll do some things like that in kind of the spring, and then I may do U.S. Nationals again. We'll see, or I may just go as a coach and help guys that I'm leading. I want to lead lots of my Strong Crew teammates to victory. We got Jeremy Shell, who's an excellent 80 kilogram athlete. He competed at Clash. He had a torn bicep last year, but he's going to be a top guy. I think he could win at OSG in the fall. I got Brendan Swingross, who's an excellent 220-pound athlete. I got Livy Cornelius, who I'm grooming her to be a top lightweight female, strongman. So leading people on my team to big things, and then I'll get more and more serious, I guess, with the big comps. They all line up in the fall. So we got. I would love to be able to do Strongman Champions League, Ultimate, and official Strongman games. Of those, the priority would be official Strongman games, and then maybe one of the other. I've already won Ultimate and Strongman games, so probably the next would be Strongman Champions League if I had to pick like a second.
Usually, well, I think last time they had it was out in one of the Scandinavian countries. So so you get a lot of those kind of competitors up there that normally don't come down to like the European scene or the US scene.
Yeah, and I did the last one they had. It was in 2021, and it was in Finland.
You took third, right?
I came in third. Yep, that was in 2021 Finland, Kokkola, Finland. And me and my wife, we went there for 2 weeks, and that was probably the best vacation we've ever had. It was just amazing. Like I love the country of Finland. I love the people. I still have a lot of friends that I taught with from there. Marcus Lane is from there, and it was just an awesome competition too. The fans are cool. They had like the stands are filled with people. When you watch the video of me competing, every single person in the stands are clapping for me. So I would love to compete in front of the Finnish people again. But it may move. Strongman Champions League moves around, so it could be in Norway. They haven't released where it's going to be next year.
And then one year, the year Tyler Young competed at 90 kilos, it was in India, which would have been pretty cool, probably pretty cool cultural experience.
It'd be a different world down there. Yeah.
So that's pretty much the show, Tyler. I'm going to have, as usual, your socials below so these people can find you and learn more about you. They can follow your journey, especially going into 2023 as you repeat your championship campaign. But is there any bit of advice or a bit of wisdom that you want to leave our listeners?
I think what really helped me a lot is just be honest with yourself and just be yourself. I know that sounds cliche, but I give my coach honest feedback. I'm honest with myself in the gym. I don't do stupid things to get hurt, and be honest and be yourself. So when I'm at the competition at OSG, I'm not worrying about, that guy, he's a past champion and he's over there sitting in the corner listening to music and acting this way, so I need to act like that. I don't worry about that. I'm going to act how I am, and I'm just going to be myself. There's totally champions are all different. You got like Big Z. He walks around like he reminds me of like a great white shark, just kind of cruising around. He just kind of cruises, walks around real slow, and he does real good. He doesn't get excited. But then, you got other strongmen who get like pumped up and cheer and yell. Like Myers puts on a pretty cool show, or Time Event. And I love all of them, all the different. But just be yourself and don't try to emulate someone else. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
That's great. That's great advice. And just picking back off the Big Z comment, did you watch the video of him in the supermarket with his jugs of orange juice? Just all it was is him going to the yogurt section and just putting more yogurt into his car.
I did see that. And I was like, how many fucking jugs of orange juice is this guy gonna drink? That's like he's only gonna be there for a few days.
But it was it was such a simple video, but it was just hilarious.
He's a real treasure.
But it's Tyler, I appreciate coming on. It's been a real pleasure to kind of catch up. I still need to meet you in person. It's gonna happen. One of these times we'll get it. We'll get to hang out. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person this time, but
I'll get you my autograph soon.
All right, perfect. right on the forehead.
I'll take yours too.
All right, deal. But Tyler, thank you again. It's a pleasure. And I'm of course going to be looking at your campaign. And then for our listeners, make sure you follow Tyler. I'm going to have his socials in the description below. And then don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, notification bell so you know when the new podcasts are coming out. Until next time, my friends, stay strong.